Well, Greenies Drum Corps fans, all right, we just left the theater here after the live event in Detroit, Michigan. And wow, what a show, right? Lots going on, lots of things to digest, as it typically is when you get a first read on these drum corps, especially in the modern era. And we're just going to keep this kind of brief. I'm trying very hard with the vlog here to not really exceed 10 minutes for videos, right? You got things to do, I got things to do. There's no reason to drag things out, but it's kind of hard to do that, especially when we're trying to digest a whole new season here. So, of course, as I mentioned, really the season kicked off a few days ago in California, in San Diego. So mostly, though, the West Coast corps, and they were pretty much the same corps for all 3 nights, which I did watch on Flow Marching. So really, this was a chance for some of the Midwest and East corps to kind of get their feet wet and get out there. And I only mention that because, like clearly we saw in California on Friday night, the first night of the season, we saw the same thing with these corps tonight, which was there were definitely some first night show jitters for sure. Certainly in the first part of the program, where we had certainly some soloists that were not too certain with some of their notes, a few missed notes and things. Obviously that can happen anytime, but they seem to happen less and less these days in the modern drum corps era. But yeah, it's clearly there was some nerves there, and just overall you get a feeling there was some nerves. Certainly that's always going to be the case. So it'll be interesting to see how they move on from there. But really, I'm just going to put it out here right away. Right, if I got this right, we saw Phantom Regiment, we saw Crossmen, we saw Blue Stars, we saw Boston Crusaders, we saw the Cavaliers, and we saw the Blue Coats. So honestly, the show, and this is probably not surprising, I'm a bit more of a traditionalist for sure, no doubt about it. The show I enjoyed the most, and maybe just that the fact they were on first had something to do with it. The show I saw first and most anxious to see again and develop on as the season goes is the Phantom Regiment. Pretty gimmick-free, from what I could tell, for the most part, you know, and just straight ahead drum corps. And, you know, basically, I think the thing that will hold them back, though, a bit is the complexity of their program. And that's been the case with them for a while now, is that other corps that have been finishing ahead of them tend to have complicated, or a little bit more complicated, shows. And as you've looked at tonight's lineup, you can see as we progressed, there were definitely more complexities in some of the other shows. Now, the Crossmen, they seemed very ill-prepared tonight. Again, they had first show jitters. What I was, you know, basically surprised by is, I guess, the overall just preparedness seemed to be a bit lacking this time around. Maybe they're a bit younger, you know, it takes some time to get that together, to build a team, all that good stuff. So maybe that is maybe some of the reason. But just because you're getting a little bit of a rocky or slow start doesn't mean you can't pick it up and turn it around, right? So the show itself, definitely need another read on it. It's not too bad. Certainly the brass line is their, I think, their creme de la creme there. It's a very strong group there. So that's definitely, I think, going to be one of their strongest points in the corps. The next corps on was the Blue Stars. And I tell you one thing I don't like. I like the idea of the uniform, but I don't like that there's some members in the horn line with skirts, obviously the women, and then some have a short jacket and some have a long jacket. The 3 different styles of uniform, costume, whatever you want to use as a word there, a little distracting in my opinion. It doesn't really look too good, kind of mishmashed like that. The program itself is a little odd too. Definitely would need a couple more reads on that one. I loved their show last year, by the way. I don't know how many of you followed along the 2021 show for the Blue Stars, but absolutely spectacular. I wish it was something more along that lines this year, but clearly it's not. That one's going to take a bit of read, you know, quite a few more reads to really get the gist of what they're doing. And again, it's early. It's, you know, these ideas have to develop, so we'll see how it goes as they progress. Now, the next corps was the Boston Crusaders. I did hear their performance in the park, but I didn't obviously do anything with the visual part of it. So we got to see the visual part of it. Obviously, one of the most incredible sections in the core is that color guard. They've been on fire for a couple of years now. I didn't know this was a show that was going to be dedicated to the game of badminton, but looking at the props, I guess that was the case. Okay. Okay. My dry humor, guys. They definitely look like those badminton, cones or whatever that we use. But anyway, pretty creative how the way they use those props. I will agree with some of the commentating that was done about the props. I think that were done pretty creatively. Overall, I will tell you this, and I noticed this last season because I was at the 2021 Indianapolis show for 3 nights, and I hate to tell you folks, the Boston Crusaders use a tremendous amount of electronic amplification support for the horn line. Why they do that, I have no idea. They have 80 amazingly great brass players, at least 80 members, and they're really good. So why they put so much heavy amplification on the brass line, I don't know why, but I could hear it through the theater event. You can definitely tell they're cranking them up again this year. Hopefully, I don't have much hope, but hopefully they'll tone that back and tweak that better as time goes along. But based on what happened last season, I don't see that happening. If you look along the front, I think they have at least 5 or 6 speaker stacks to go all across the entire front of the field. Again, with a group like that, you really absolutely, there's no need for that kind of extra juice, so to speak. So the Cavaliers, that was a weird read tonight because, again, I had not heard or seen anything of their show. I think they got a lot of work to do as far as developing the idea. They definitely have a framework, as all the cores do. But really, that's kind of it's going to be, I don't know that it really picks up where they left off in 2019. I mean, that 2019 was a burner of a show, right? The other side of the tracks or whatever. It was just really, really good. So I don't know that they picked up with as strong as a show as they had then. So, and then of course we had the Blue Coats. Now, honestly, I didn't know a thing about what they were going to do this year, and I didn't hear or see anything before tonight. So a complete surprise, and of course them, you never know what they're going to do, right? Obviously, you would be foolish to try to guess what their next, show or approach was going to be. So obviously they came out big and bold with color and props and everything else. Okay, no big deal there. But what they did come out with big and bold, which I definitely don't like. I'm afraid it's going to stay because it's really a huge part of the show, which is the narration. And it's a little unusual because, the Blue Coats are known to kind of be the new school, bringing new stuff, hip stuff to the field. Narration and amplification, both of them, have been allowed in DCI since 2004. Just think of that for a moment and do some math. We're almost at 20 years that has been around. And yeah, they did a very heavy narration based show in 2008 with the boxing show. But I think there was even less narration than they have this year. So again, disappointing for me. I'm not a big fan of narration. Most of it you can't even hear anyway, to be honest with you, in the stadium. And I'm usually between the 40-yard lines. So no doubt it'll be entertaining, it'll be exciting and all that good stuff. I feel like it really didn't pick up steam, though, programming-wise, till about halfway through till the end. The first half of that show is really pretty dry, pretty tame. So I'm not sure what they can do to spice that up, but it really it didn't catch some life until, in my opinion, until about halfway or 3/4 through. All right, folks, that's it. I don't know how many minutes this has been, but it's almost 10. I mean, it's actually on the dot. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope you had a chance to go to the theater, or even better, I hope you were there in the stadium to check it out. Definitely leave your comments below if you disagree, agree, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever it is. These kind of things, the reviews is going to be a little dry. I am planning to go to 2 shows in the Midwest in mid-July. I'm going to DCI East in Allentown, PA, the regional there for 2 nights. And then I'm also going probably to a show just before Allentown, and then I'm in 3 nights in Indy. So that's my DCI sort of in-person schedule. And we're going to show you lots. We're going to show you back scenes, you know, all that good stuff. We're going to show you all the goodies, vlogging from those locations. But again, these show reviews is just me yammering and talking the whole time. So bear with me. We will have more exciting stuff to come. So with that, folks, hope you enjoyed your first night of the basically getting back into the really heavily competed competition part of the season. And before I keep butchering my words here, I'm going to say have a good one. All right, cheers.